This interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. If you're an entrepreneur or an influencer, you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, like you're spinning your wheels, you're not sure what's stopping you, what's blocking you from creating success, you feel like you're detached, disconnected from your purpose, and you want to get clarity on that. You want to take massive action, and in fact, you feel like you're taking massive action, but you're just not producing the results that you desire. The 21-Day Challenge will help realign you to your GPS, your greatest possible self, design your dream, break it down into bite-sized steps so that you can achieve it in 21 days. Now, I'm just kidding. You won't achieve it in 21 days, but what you will do is you'll take massive action in those 21 days, and you'll have one-on-one accountability, daily check-ins to make sure that you're being and becoming your greatest possible self. Dial in your morning and nighttime routines and create a ritual of success for you. That's the 21-Day Challenge. If you want to find out more, send me an email, chris@beyourgps.com, or a message on Facebook, and let me know you are ready to find out what your 21-Day Challenge is going to transform in your life. Looking forward to talking to you about it. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and it is by Tara Novan. And Tara says, cheering you on. Chris Burns offers a positive, encouraging, and motivational oasis in podcast land. He's genuinely committed not just to his own success, but to his clients and his listeners' ability to become their greatest possible selves, bringing in a wide range of voices to reinforce that message. Chris will cheer you on to new levels of success and fulfillment. Absolutely, Tara. 100% I am. And if you want to give us a review, we absolutely appreciate it. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or type in becoming your greatest possible self on the iTunes store. And who knows, maybe you could get shouted out on the next 12-hour marathon. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. I appreciate you. Next, we're going to be going into the introduction of this incredible human being. And before we get into that, I just want to let you know that you definitely want to stay till the end of this interview. It's going to be no nonsense, no fluff, no BS, diving into the gold, the wisdom, and real practical stuff so that you can kick your butt into gear and succeed like never before. Brent is going to bring the heat. We had an amazing pre-interview call the other day, and it is just awesome who he is and what he stands for. So stick around, grab a pen, grab paper, get ready to take notes, and most of all, get ready to implement and take action on what he is talking about and what you already know to do, because he's a no fluff, no BS kind of guy. Trust me, okay? So stick around. It's going to be an amazing interview. Brent's going to rock it, and let's introduce him and then bring him on the screen in just another minute, okay? Brent Clayton is the CEO and founder of Recruitment Australia and the Authority Marketing Machine. Author of 5 books, including 1 bestseller, he has helped over 1,000 people achieve their goals in the firefighting industry and building successful online businesses. In 2001, Brent started his first online business at the age of 20. Since then, Brent went on to become an entrepreneur and build his training company, which now runs events nationally, teaching people how to master communication for influence, build successful online businesses, and get jobs thousands of people can't. And we're absolutely blessed to have him here with us today. Brent, are you ready to smash this one out of the park, my man?
Yeah, man. Let's get into it. I love your energy, Chris. It's awesome.
Dude, thank you, man. Thank you. We're diving into it. I appreciate you. We are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Let's dive into the theme of the day, which is how to be aligned. Brent, what does alignment mean to you, and how do you get aligned?
Alignment to me, as far as the word goes, it's just about being true to yourself and being authentic. And I'm sure that word gets used a lot on your show because that's sort of how you roll. But for me, how I go about being aligned is it's just about being happy with who you are, so that then you can put that out there and mean it. Because if you're not able to do that, people can see right through you, and you're just not going to get the best out of yourself if you're not aligned or authentic. So that's pretty much the crux of what it means to me and how I do it. So when you're traveling in the wrong direction, but a lot of people can't listen to themselves and get realigned with where they know they should be. So that's sort of my interpretation anyway, man.
Powerful, man. I love it. And I think the big thing is, like, you determine whether you're choosing to be happy and do things that make you happy. And that is like alignment. That is authenticity. If you want to be authentic, like, be real, be yourself. Like, what makes you happy? What fulfills you? Go do more of that. If you're not doing that, stop doing it.
Well, you're going to get exhausted pretending.
Totally.
That's a fact.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's true. It's true,
so,
man.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Brent, powerful, powerful start to this. So tell people a little bit more about what you do, the Fire Recruitment Australia, what you built,
Yep.
and a little bit more about that.
Cool. So I built Fire Recruitment Australia over like a really long period of time in my book. So started in '08, learning about the internet and stuff. But the crux of the business was I had a hard time getting a job in the fire service, and it cost me a year of my life, right?
Wow.
So at the time, there wasn't really anything out there to help me. And I'm like, well, I'm a pretty bright guy and I've missed out here. So obviously there's a bit of a gap. And I identified it, fixed it, and then got a job the next time. And I'm like, well, surely there must be a few other people out there sitting in the same spot I was that could do with this help. So essentially, I knew what I needed to get across there, but it was about me learning and making mistakes, unfortunately, to be able to get that into the new world. It's not like the old days when you could set up a brick shop and put a sign out the front. In 2008, I'm not saying internet marketing was new then, but it was, it was a lonely place to be.
Totally. It wasn't like as accessible as it is now. Every like mom, daughter, son, brother, father is like totally learning about internet marketing right now and going at it, giving it a shot.
Yeah, well, they at least know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas back then it seemed like, I was just talking to a friend this morning about it. Things were harder. Like even just popping up a web page back then, you had to do all sorts of jazz, and now you can do that in a half a day and have a running business if you know the steps. And like they're not hard either if you know. So that's sort of the story of how I've got to where I am now in a simplified, arrangement. But the lessons you learn along the way in a 10-year journey, that's where I think just the value that you can provide to people that are embarking on a similar pathway. Yeah, it's really significant, and that's the same with the fire service stuff. We're talking about like years of people's life here, not like a day or two. This is like if you one piece of information, it can be the difference between sitting over here for another 2 years or being where you want to be. ASAP. So
yeah, it's like the common belief of, hey, I need to go to school to get a good job to be happy and fulfilled, and that ends up being like a rat race. It ends up being like a prison for a lot of people, and a lot of people have to find their freedom through entrepreneurship after either spending tons of money on school or spending tons of years of their life in a place that they feel no freedom, no self-expression, no fulfillment in being their best self. And they're like, man, did I just waste my life? Well, everyone's on their own journey and their own path, so be grateful that you have the information and awareness now. That's all that we have is now. And how can you grow now? How can you take another step in the right direction now?
Right, I love it because we're in a transition period, like you touched on school and stuff like this, and our values system as well. Like if you grow up in a certain way, and then it's like, to get this, I've got to pay for this. Some people will not allow themselves to value something, even though it changed their life. Right. Just because of the point in time we're at now, and like information now is so readily available. But I think the skill now has been able to look at the information and then take action with it, because there's so much of it there. It's like, which rabbit warren do you want to go down, and is it the right one, sort of thing. That's becoming the skill, not like 30 years ago it was like getting the information. So it's a whole new ball game, I believe. So
it's fascinating. Like you said, it used to be about, hey, how do I get access to these ideas? Like, I see this guy, he's making millions of dollars, like that seems impossible for me. Now it's like it's totally possible, and like I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I feel like I have all the information, I feel like I'm doing everything right, versus before there was a different block, there was a different challenge to achieving that.
Definitely. And I think in today's world, like there's a big challenge around technology and stuff and being able to focus on things. So like but back in like 1990, for example, you didn't have all these things dinging and coming into your world. So you could learn stuff, whereas people have got to learn to navigate all of this stuff and learn things. So I can just see that as a barrier now that, that's just a learning in itself almost. We're at the infancy of this as well. So, things are going to continue to change rapidly. So having the ability to learn as you go within this new world environment, I think is going to be a really, really valuable commodity or skill to have. So
yeah, man. What would you say is it that drives you to want to contribute to people and serve people through online businesses and the things that you're building today?
There's a couple of things, but the one I like the most is when I'm doing something I like and I get a good result. Like, I'll give you an example. So someone might come to me and they've tried for 3 years or something to get this specific job, right? And then we sort of run through a process. They got the right attitude and that, and then the day they ring you up and they're like, I've got this. I'm not kidding. Like, I get goosebumps and like my hair stands up. That feeling. Yeah. You can't buy that shit. Like, no. Do you know what I mean? It's that's like reason number one. And the other thing is, if you create and make other people's lives better, it provides more for you. So by helping other people, I've got a more abundant lifestyle for me, my partner, and my child, and whoever else is within my sort of circle. So they're two fantastic reasons that, because this has not been easy, hey, and I think anyone that says that it is lying. So it's knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and then probably more so now for me, it's being able to enjoy the tunnel.
Yep.
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 Yeah, I like making up crazy, analogies that make no sense to anyone else. But yeah, you know what I mean? So it runs after the light, but you've got to sort of, it's, the last few years now that things I've really got a handle on it all. It's like, all right, well, let's start designing how we do this and enjoying it moving forward,
Yeah, dude, that the being present, being in the moment is so huge. So many people are on the race to get somewhere, and it's like not about that. It's about really being present and valuing this conversation, this moment, maybe it's like setting up your website and you're so frustrated and pissed off because it's like not going the way you want it to. It's like, oh wait, I'm on the journey.
Yeah. That's true. Of course, you can't be sitting in, your yoga position or, thing. But like things are still going to frustrate you. But just knowing that, exactly. Like, because if your mindset is the other way, where it's like, I need to get to here, then that will be great. I can tell you, because I was there. Yeah. When you get there, you'll just want the next thing. So, if you can figure out what's important to you, and like we spoke about the other day, what sort of lights you up, and that is just, there is a thing, and you'll know it. It's like what I just spoke about. Yeah. Then it's a different world to live in, I reckon. So
yeah, and that's a big thing I think a lot of people are lacking or missing is like one the drive to create. Like a lot of people want it to be easy and comfortable. Yeah. Like that's a challenge. And then there's also the like, oh, I'm on this hamster wheel and I don't feel like I'm doing it fast enough, and like, why am I putting in all this energy but I don't feel fulfilled and I don't feel happy, and it's like we have to, it's almost like we have to have both. We have to have the ambition and the willingness to do whatever it takes as long as it takes, and the ability to enjoy the moment. We have to cultivate both of those depending on what the season of life is.
Yeah, and I think that really comes full circle around to what you were talking about originally, because if you're aligned and you're working with something that you enjoy, well, it's not a hamster wheel anymore, as long as the resources are coming in from that labor at some point. But if you're misaligned and you're working flat out, well, that's you know, that's not ideal, is it? So
No, not fun.
nothing's easy. Like
Right.
nothing that I've ever achieved that has
Mm.
been great has been easy. It's been quite the opposite, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
everything I've done that I look back on through my life, I've put in an extraordinary effort
Yes.
to achieve that. Everything that I look back on, like.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to get out of your comfort zone or have a rip or risk something, you don't get to have that above average thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like just from my perspective, I'm sure like there's some monks and stuff that are having a good time, but yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's true, man. It's true. And I think that it's important to know what you want, what fulfills you. Like, you know,
Correct.
going back to the beginning, what are you aligned with? What is your greatest possible self? What is the best version of yourself? So like, what did you learn? What were some of those lessons and the wisdom that you picked up on the journey about like who you really are and what's important to you? Can you take us back to some of those moments where you like were hitting your head on the wall and you're like, this isn't me. I'm
Yeah,
not aligned.
yeah. Look, what's important to me is sort of more of a recent thing.
Yeah.
As far as lessons learnt, though, to get to a point where I can take a deep breath in and sort of go, right, I've got all this stuff I thought I wanted. Now let's focus on, you know, the alignment. Like
Right.
I love doing this stuff. It's great. So, but lessons learned for me are things like I grew up in a small town, and you know money was a thing when I was a kid. So you're reluctant to invest in bettering yourself and things like that. And if I hadn't been able to overcome that, I would not be sitting here. Like there was one point. This is back in the day. I invested a fair bit. At the time, was a fair bit to do this internet marketing course, and it got me into a whole new pool that I never would have got into if I didn't just take that leap of faith. And, you know, it was a significant thing to do. If I hadn't have done that, I would not be here. I'd be mucking around and playing business, basically. So that was a massive lesson. Another lesson, like practical wise, is you know, outsourcing was just becoming a thing for individuals back then. Cheap is not cheap. All right. So, you know, there's a massive amount of value in checking out your talent that you're hiring and not going. It's like buying an airline ticket based on price. And then you realise it leaves at 6 a.m. So all of a sudden you've got to stay at the airport hotel the night before and you've got to leave your family, blah, blah, blah. That's, you know, there's a value in paying a premium for a lot of things.
Right.
I'm not saying that, you know, it's across the board, but cheap isn't always cheap.
That's great.
You know.
That's great. I've never heard that one. That's like it's like cheap is not cheap, you know? Like sometimes like that being willing to pay the premium is what gets you the result faster, the result you really want. What looks good on the surface, if it's like all about saving a buck, that's coming from scarcity. That's coming from like I don't have enough and I just barely got to scrape by. No, don't try to scrape by. Do your best and get equipped with great information, great training, great coaching, great events, whatever that is. But
the
like
best
the best
you can get, yeah. And look, and I'll be honest, you don't always win, like, but if you're coming from that scarcity thing, that will keep you in the scarcity mode because you'll never have abundance. Like, you know, like I work with a lot of people and we do like interview coaching for jobs, right? And it's expensive depending what angle you're looking at it from, right?
Right.
But it's not expensive if it saves you a year stuck in your shit job that you don't like, right? And if I have to educate you on that, you're probably not ready. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's just, like I had to learn it myself as a young guy. So, when you learn something like a lesson, you get the cuts and the scars and the bruises and shit. You just get it so much that you want everyone else to get it because it's holding them back. And like this just goes for almost everything. So, and I think it's a bit of a human condition, and I don't know if it's worldwide or whatever. It just seems to be the way we roll. And, if you have a bad experience, that puts a lot of people back. And other thing is people don't want to take responsibility for their decisions and actions a lot of the time too. Yeah. So they'll be like, oh, I tried this and it didn't work. Well, it's like, well, did you do the things? Like, did you... Oh no, it's like, you know what I mean? It's a real. You've got to take responsibility for. You can't just go, oh, I did that and I didn't really do it, but now I've got an excuse why it is like it is. So there's a bit in it, but it's worth it's worth covering, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think the big thing to look at is like, are you willing to go through the time, or do you want to invest the time, or do you want to invest the money? Do you want to invest the time and do it like the safe, long way, or even like hard way, banging your head against the wall? Or are you willing to get the shortcut? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And even, I would say it's expanding. It's challenging your scarcity thinking to say, how can I find a way? How can I afford to work with Brent and, like learn from him and, like save myself all this time that I would have spent otherwise? Like, what would it take? Who would I have to be? Like, how would I have to show up? What kind of, massive vision would I have to have that pulls me through resistance? What kind of big asks would I have to, make of the people around me? Maybe I need support, financial support, leverage, lines of credit, whatever it might be. It's like betting on yourself and having faith in yourself to be able to come out on the other side, and trusting the people who you surround yourself with to help you get there is super, super important.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and I think that belief thing, like, I've worked with a few guys and they've even surprised me because their determination. Like, I can look at two people that's of the same ability, but if this guy's committed and he's showing, he's going to get the cake. Like, it's just a fact. It's like, I met a guy 8 times, it's unheard of, right? 8 times going for the one job. Work with him for the year, gets the job, right? That's 9 years almost, right? Wow. He got, like, I'm not saying go do that for 9 years, but what I'm saying is determination, vision, showing up, doing whatever it takes is where it's at, pretty much.
How would you recommend to cultivate that, Brent?
Well, it sort of comes back to what we talked about at the start. It's like, I want to do X, right? Mm-hmm. Well, make sure you want to do X first. Yeah. Make sure. Don't just. It's like when I was younger, I wanted to fly helicopters in the army, right? Yeah. I like the idea of flying helicopters in the army. You know what I'm saying? I got to the interview thing. I got through all the testing and whatever, and they're like, "Oh, tell us about this helicopter." It's like, I don't know. Because I like the idea. You need to know that's what you want to do. And the only way to know is go and find out as much as you can about it and get exposed to it. And then once you know, then you just point the car in the right direction and just smash the gas and hold it. Yep. Just hold it there until you're there. Like, and this is like doing things on a routine daily basis in the direction of what you want. Like, this is not a new concept. It's just a fact. It's like if you want to grow a muscle, you go to the gym on a consistent basis. If you go there once a week and can't be bothered, it's not happening. It's like, you can't pay someone to do your push-ups. Right. That's a thing. So, you just got to know that that's what you want to do. The minute you know it, and you got to check in with yourself and go, can I do this sometime? Like, don't limit yourself, but if it's like, you know, you have to have blue eyes and you got brown, well, you're not, you know, maybe give it a miss, move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, don't be a fool about it, but figure it out, then hit it.
How did you design your dream life in the early stages of your career? Like what did you do? Were you just going to the next thing? Did you have like some kind of inspiration, role model, a vision of what was possible?
Yeah, it's a bit of a story, but I'll try and give you the sort of breakdown of it. So I was running this car sales internet website before I even knew what the internet was. And we weren't sort of big enough we were like one of the first ones in the country, but it was just me and a mate, and it wasn't one of those fairy tale stories, but we're having a dip, and I was working like as hard as you possibly can. And I was even more hardcore when I was 20, a bit like your energy sort of thing, and going full tilt. And then I heard about this job in the fire service, and it came with all these like, fantastic holidays and this and that, and I'm like, that sounds cool, like, and the job might be a bit of fun too. And I had a pretty high opinion of my ability, sort of thing. And I've gone in there, tried to get a job, got knocked back, and I'm like, how's that possible, you know? A bit of naivety and youth and so on. And then I wanted the job because I thought there was a lifestyle attached to it, right?
Right.
So I've got the job, and I've really enjoyed the lifestyle for a bit, but I've worked my way through the whole rank structure and that, and I've got to a point where I'm like bored, you know? Like, great job, but I need more. I need more stimulation and stuff like that, and that sort of came concurrently with this fire recruitment business. So as far as lifestyle design, is that sort of where we're going?
Yeah, like you wanted the lifestyle of the fire job, and then like you saw a need in the marketplace of building this business. What was the vision that you were really inspired by when that happened, and then how has that vision evolved over time too?
Yeah. So the vision was obvious to me is like holidays, bit of work, money, pretty much. Money was more of a driver back in the day. Now it's sort of done a 180 almost. It's like I need a fulfillment and to be helping people and to be talking to people that are in the same mindset as me, and that's what I like. Take some money away. I prefer to do that, right? Because money at the end of the day is not a really good yardstick. Like, it's a fun thing to have, but it is not a good thing to measure your worth by in any means. Like, anyone listening to this will have an example of some dude that's got more money than them or whatever being a jerk, and it's like, you know, it really just doesn't matter. I like people that are interesting and that are doing shit. And, you know, that's where my sort of journey is at the moment. I just want to contribute and help people not have to go through the, 20-hour days and stuff that I was doing when I was just zinging to try and get this business going and, going to work and all this sort of jazz. So,
but do you think that it was a part of you achieving this goal? Like, you had to be willing to do that 20-hour days. So it's like to want to like remove that for people. It's like, well, I want to remove it, and you're probably gonna have to do it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's like you found a shortcut.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, if you got the right attitude, I love people with the right attitude. Like, I love being around them and working with them, because you do a session or whatever and you walk away and you're like, I've done a good job. I like this person. We're making progress. Good to go. Like, you can't get that feeling working for money or a specific outcome. And like I said before, if that's your goal, just say you want to make 20 grand a month or whatever it is,
right.
you'll get to that goal and it won't be good enough.
Mm.
It will not be good enough. Like if I'd have said to 18-year-old me, you can have half of what you've got now, I would have said, yeah, I'll sign off and I don't want anything extra. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not how the game works if you're in that mindset. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of course, you need enough to do your stuff and buy a coffee and have a beer or whatever, but it's, not the be all and end all, that's for sure. So mine's more about designing all of the work and this stuff that we're doing right now around my time so that I can spend more time with like my daughter and my mates, and I ride pushies. So doing everything that I want to do,
Right.
pretty much. And that's what I've spent the last probably 6 months of my own business is in packaging my time up so that it still gives the same value and results, but I'm not sporadically doing things. When I'm on this subject, I'm on, hardcore on it. And then when I'm out with my mates riding or having a beer, I'm doing that. I'm not worrying about, some ridiculous tech issue or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the goal with me. It's to be able to do the stuff that's been on the list for, a number of years. Like, have a hit of tennis every week, learn the piano, drink beer on a Thursday night with my friend. I love that. It's simple stuff, but it is like you can't buy it. You can't buy that shit. So that's my sort of goal is to. And it's working pretty okay.
Yeah, and what I hear is going back to the things that that fulfilled you just to do them, not to achieve, to accomplish or anything like that. But it's like, hey, what do I really enjoy doing? And over time, you've learned more about who you are and what you value, what's important to you, and things like developing your different gifts, piano, tennis, whatever it might be, or hanging out with friends and that quality time and just being present in those things, enjoying those things. Like that is the fulfillment. That's the juice. That's what, gives your soul life so that you can, give it to other people and serve other people with it. Because if you're like empty and you're just grinding it out every single day and you're feeling like burnt out, like you don't serve people well. You don't give your gifts, your light, your love, your brain, your wisdom of business to other people,
Definitely, mate. So like an example, yesterday we went out stealing Christmas trees, right? It's something we do every year. It's a group of us. We go out in the bush and it's just a chilled day, and I wouldn't want to replace that with, anything. So, and like you said, it gets you so that when you are working or whatever, you've had the rest and you're good to go. And you can give 100% instead of, I've been up at 3 a.m. worrying about this or that not working or whatever it is. And, to be able to get to that point that I'm at now has only come about by taking those leaps that we spoke about before.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of things that changed for me through doing that have allowed me to then have a breath, look at it all, and then start designing what I'm up to.
Right. That's powerful, man. What's the biggest thing you've noticed with like people who want to learn from you, like in terms of the mindset that helps someone succeed, like an apprentice or someone who you're coaching or a mentee, something like that? What do you look for that helps them succeed?
It's really easy, hey, like positive attitude, and they take responsibility for themselves. So they're not like looking for a dad. They're looking for someone to guide them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you tell me what to do, I go do it.
Yeah.
Not, this and that. Like positivity, we're doing it, I just want guidance, not, oh, it's too hard, it's this or that, because it's not going to get you to any positive position. And
Right.
it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're going for a job or you're trying to build a business or whatever. If you're dwelling on the past, what's happened, well, you're not moving forward, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's evident in the way someone will talk to you straight off the bat. You know, they'll either try and start telling you a story about why something is so, or they'll be like, this is what I want, bang, bang, bang. And then you're like, good to go.
Right.
And those people that do that, I'll give them just whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, we're going to get there, mate. So whatever you need, let's, like, over and above any, because that's what it's about. It's not about what the package was or this or that. It's, at the end of the day, I want you to achieve the goal so that, you know, everybody's having a good time.
Right. And if someone's determined or has that energy of like certainty, you know that they're going to get there. So you're going to like pour into them because you're like, I don't need to wind you up. I don't need to motivate you. You're already freaking motivated. Here's the path. Go.
And I've just got to do my job then. Then there's no real worry about it. And the greatest thing about those type of people in the fire recruitment stuff is they don't even understand a lot of the time how good their life is going to be when they get there, because it's sort of better than you can imagine in a lot of ways. So I feel like a bit warm inside because I've got, it's like a little secret that they're not aware of yet. So it's like an extra prize that they didn't know about. So yeah, that's also nice. Yeah, because you want to give that to people that or contribute to them getting it. If they're got that sort of attitude and they don't just want a scapegoat or someone to take responsibility for their actions or what have you. It's just human nature, I think. And you're either sort of one way biased or the other way. And I think that can be trained or you're born like it, or I'm not entirely sure, but that's a thing.
It totally is a thing. And I think it's, you know, people who, it's like consciousness. You evolve in your consciousness. You might be at the beginning like super poverty conscious and you're like only thinking about scarcity and you're stuck in that and you're stuck in the slums and you like, that's where you're thinking. And as life goes on, if you have opportunities and environments and people who inspire you to higher levels of thinking of what's possible, then you become like, well, how do I do that? You know, I'm tired of this being poor. Like, I'm done with that. I want to be wealthy. How do I do that? And so then they go through that and they get to this point of like being wealthy and they're like, wait, I'm not even fulfilled. How do I be fulfilled? And then they look to their, their wealthy peers who are fulfilled and living the life and happy. And they're like, how do I do that? You know, and then we get to that point. It's like, okay, what's next? You know, so there's always an evolution to go through. And it just depends on where people are at in their journey and the environment that they are in, because we're a product of our environment.
Definitely, mate. Like environment, like, so this house that I'm in, when we renovated it, and I was specific about how I wanted the rooms to feel and stuff like that, because you can pretend that it's not important, but it is so important. And that's just like a room, right?
Right.
But it's the people you're hanging around. There's this old saying, like, people pretend it's their own one or whatever, but it's like your closest five mates are your product of whatever you are or something. You know, it's like, if they all earn $100,000, you earn $100,000. That, you know, that sort of saying. Right. Well, it's just true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't hang around with millionaires and not be exposed to opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise. And that works at the other end of the spectrum as well. So my partner's an ambulance officer, right? And she went to this old dude and he's got like a walking frame with tea bags hanging off the bottom of it, right? Because he's drying them out to reuse them again. So I don't think he's hanging around anyone that's sort of, you know, showing any abundance.
Affluent, no.
So, like there's a spectrum,
Yeah.
and it's a thing.
Yep. Yep.
So
Oh,
yeah.
man. Absolutely. Brent, what is like one of your growth areas? Where are you focusing in 2019? What's the growth area that you really want to, make 2019 your year where you double down on this area of life?
For me, it's just relaxing and being around more.
Yeah.
Mind-wise, because like it's almost a disease. Like I just can't stop, doing stuff and thinking. And, I'll be on a holiday planning my next holiday. Like
Yep.
that's probably not correct. Do you know what I mean? So I've actually got this computer that I'm talking to you on right now, sitting on a yearly planner, because I've sort of learnt this thing that if you have routine and you know what's coming up, you can chill, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my year for 2019 is to do that, continue to help people, move into some other areas of help, like a business sort of, pretty much what I'm doing. I want to be able to help people that are in similar businesses change it from being stressful to being like mine. You know what I mean? So that they can be there when they're there. Don't worry about tech and this and that, the modern day problems, and because it's a really significant area, to be honest. Like there's people out there struggling for absolutely no reason other than that they don't have the information or a solution.
Right.
You know that thing, you don't know what you don't know, or the unknown thing. That is also another old, absolutely true saying. Like you just don't know what you don't know, and you and I are in the same boat. There's heaps of stuff we don't know that we don't know. It's just whether you want to know it or not.
Right. Right. It's like, and you have to have that desire. You have to seek the information, and with sincerity and continuous persistence, you will find it.
Yeah, and I'd say if you've got a pain point in your life, which a lot of people do, that's probably a good place to start looking. I know heaps of business owners that are just zinging, just in a spin constantly. Can't take a heap of time off and this and that, and that's sometimes a requirement. But you got to sort of weigh up what are you getting in return, and is that what you want? I believe, like we said at the start, you got to figure out what you want, and does that align with what you're doing?
Yeah, so it's like looking at your practical day-to-day activities and calendar and saying, hey, does this match up with where I want to go? It's like stopping, pausing, and checking in. Like if I keep doing this, is it going to get me where I want to go?
Yeah. And you know what? It is hard to know where you want to go, and that will change like continuously. But unless you want to buy a Ferrari or whatever it is, if it's just to stack more money in the bank, there's heaps of sad rich dudes walking around. I can give you the drum. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not a thing. Like, you've got to have resource to do what you want, but figure out what that is.
Yeah. Get clarity on it first, and that goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning: alignment. Like what is it that you really want, and discover that. That's super important. How has automation and like leveraging a team really played into your success, and how do you see it making a difference for you?
I love this question because it's I reckon it's a pretty hotish topic now. That I don't know what the graph would look like, but I'm sure there'd be a bit of a spike in it in the last few years.
Totally.
Automation's great if you pick the right fundamental software for you where you're at that point in time.
Wow. Team
is more important in my view, because there's always issues with automation, right? Like it's fantastic, but if it mucks up and no one's picking it up, well, it's not going to be doing its best job. So like we have, I don't know, 9 people or something in our team, and everyone's got a role to play, and that's got to be really, really clear. And they've got to be invested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they don't care about the results of my clients,
right,
they're not going to show up how I need them to. You know, and that comes through your vision and the way you treat your team and understanding how to put a team together and what you need. Like, obviously, you've got to have some revenue coming in if you want to start building a team. But that was a lesson I learned earlier on. The minute you can afford to get some help, get it. Like, as far as team goes, because it's like having a clear mind. Then you can actually work on what you're good at instead of, I don't know, answering emails or getting sidetracked by someone's autoresponder about some bullshit software that's, you know, like the minute you can hand that off, it's worth more than what you think it is as a cost. Hopefully I've hit that point because it's really important. The minute you can afford to get someone to help you with that stuff, do it before that minute in like having the positivity that you're going to be able to pay them. Because I remember in the beginning, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it perpetuates and sort of overtakes itself because you're able to do a better job on what you're good at and actually deliver your stuff instead of worrying about this. You know, it's just so true. If you're in your inbox, I've got to update this subscription. Well, you're not doing your thing, are you? You know, you're not building a good course or working with a group of people on a positive outcome in your thing that you're a bloody gun at or a genius or whatever. So, yeah, team-wise, automation, it's getting better. So don't think me saying it's, you know, there's problems in that. It's a thing. Like, it's a massive thing. But I think another thing with automation is don't bullshit people. Like, don't pretend that, you know, it's me. People are not that dumb. You know, like, it comes back to the authenticity thing. The minute you try and pretend that it's, you know, you're going to lose them. And that's going to become more prominent because people are getting more exposure to this shit because everyone's automating it's like, hey, Chris, just checking in. Oh, yeah, cool, mate. Like, sure you are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just be authentic, hey? Like, people really appreciate that stuff. And if they know it's automated, as long as it's in line with what we're trying to achieve, there's no drama. Yeah. It's just like, you know, I think you know what I'm talking about anyway. So
it's gold, man. It's gold. I love it. It's a thing. I love it, man. I love it. Okay, and in terms of wisdom that you've received from people like mentors or coaches, what have been some of those biggest things that's made the difference for you?
All right. So for me, wisdom-wise, for me, it's more been like I know what I want to, where I want to get.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to make the bits move, right? So my help and coaching and wisdom and stuff has been more around sometimes just getting me to do something that gets me out of my comfort zone because there's someone waiting on me doing it, you know, like a webinar or something like that.
Yep.
In my age group, it's a sort of an unfamiliar thing to be this whole computer screen thing unless you've been doing it for a while. So that was one of the bigger things a few years back that I just forced myself to get into an uncomfortable position because that's where the magic happens. You know what I mean? Like, or the fact that I invested a lot in something. It's like a book. I wrote an article on this. If I give you a book, right, you'll put it there and you'll be like, that's worth nothing, so I'll give it no attention. If I sell you the same book for $100, you're going to read every thing in the bloody. You'll read the cover back to front and upside down because it must be magic because I just paid $100 for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's also a thing, mate. And that doesn't matter. Like, you know, it just gets you to do shit. Because everyone, like, while we're sitting here doing this, there's 1,000 people sitting at a cafe somewhere telling their friend how they're gonna do something else, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, have your coffee, boot home, and do the thing. Like, and like, we expect a lot out of ourselves. So if you want to get 6 things done, just pick the two hard ones, nail them down, turn your phone, like, get rid of it. Don't let anyone interrupt your space. Like, get it done. That's, you know, that I know it sounds like it's simple and, that's, you know, what a genius, but it's a fact. People are, can't get anything done. It's because your phone's sitting there and dinging and checking your emails. It's like it's almost a disease. So you can overcome that. And this is the wisdom part of the coaching that I've done 3 lots of really high end sort of coaching, and this is some of the stuff you can't even put into words of what you've got out of it. But it makes you do stuff because you're like, I'm here now, and it's cost me this, so I better do something to get something out of it. So yeah. And that's also taught me to take responsibility because a coach doesn't do the thing.
Right.
He doesn't do your push-ups. He just tells you if your elbows are in the wrong spot or, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, yeah. And I think a lot of people want, it's like, here you go. Now, can I be rich? Or here you go. Can I be fit now? But I'll show up 15 minutes late, leave 15 minutes early and not do the exercises at home, or, you know, it's going on everywhere.
yeah, man. That's such a great analogy because it's true. Like, people want that instant gratification. They want the magic bullet. They want the quick fix. And I think that when you are willing to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, when you take on and adapt that mindset of, I want it to be hard. I want to face the challenge. I want to, like, break through this BS because that's the only way I'll have something that's, like, worthwhile. So bring it on. I'm a warrior for my purpose, for my vision, for whatever it is, whether you're a man or a woman. You know, you really got to be the fighter for it. You got to be the protector. You got to be the father, you know, nurturing the vision into existence, or the mother, you know, mama bear fighting for her cubs, you know, like making that thing a reality, because otherwise it's like your vision is a baby seedling and it's gonna freaking die because like life happens, and life is super, super rough and tough, and it'll kick your butt and like knock you down and like expect it to happen 100 times. And you got to keep getting back up and protect it. Otherwise, you know,
you got to make friends.
Yeah.
You got to make friends with getting, you know, like being uncomfortable and getting rejected. And, you know, the sooner you can get comfortable with that, or at least know that that's where you get results.
Yep.
It's, you know, like, it's just another thing. If you can make, like, when we do interview coaching with our clients, right? It's like, if you can, interviewing is uncomfortable for 95 or more % of the population, right? If you can get yourself into that environment, for example, you just get more used to it. And it's like, it's no thing. If you sit there and fret on the one time it was a bad experience, well, that's where you're going to stay. Like when I wanted to get better at getting into the fire brigade and that, I just went and applied for jobs I did not even want, just to get into the environment and get to the point where I'm like, so on the day, I'm like, this is not a thing. It's just, I've done this 10 times. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and that goes for everything, I think. Just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable things, or things that are uncomfortable to the average Joe on the street, sort of thing. So
absolutely, Brent. 100%, man. So we're wrapping up now. We want to know the final pieces of wisdom that our audience can get from this interview, man. What are the final takeaways?
The takeaways, like we talked about earlier, is figure out what you want and investigate that so that you can be sure that that's what you want. Then point in the direction and just hit the gas. I reckon that's the thing, investigating that you actually want it. Don't just the idea of it.
Right.
So that one, and do stuff. Don't let people interrupt you. Get stuff done. Like, take the action. I know this has been said by 1,000 people, but it's just true. Like, turn off your notifications and shit and do the thing. The third thing, I think, is if you're in a business and you don't have someone looking after your admin stuff, the minute you can afford to get them on board so that you can focus on your genius area, do it. Like, get it done, because it's going to pay off tenfold.
Yeah, 100%, man. So, Brent, this has been an amazing conversation. People want to know how they can stay connected with you, how they can continue learning from you, your genius, your like stick-to-itness, your directness, your no BS attitude, man. They want more. How do they stay connected with you?
All right, cool. So there's firerecruitmentaustralia.com, which is my Fire Recruitment Australia coaching service. So you can, if that's sort of where you're rolling, have a look over there. I've just started my new venture into the business coaching world. You can check that out over at brentclayton.com. It's brand new, so I'm still just popping things together over there. But they're the two ways you can get in contact with me if you want to.
They definitely do, man. Everyone definitely stay connected with this guy. He's a true like heart-driven. You're heart-driven, man. Heart-driven entrepreneur, and you really care about people, and you care about them getting results in the least amount of effort, least amount of time, no fluff, no BS, and like just being real. And I really appreciate that, man, and who you are in the world. You're awesome, Brent.
Legend, mate. Thanks for your time, Chris. Lovely to meet you.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, okay?
You too, mate. See ya.
All right, take care.